The Ghosts in the Fog by Leanne Little. Copyright 2010. It had arrived the week before. Like always, the people in the small fishing town assumed that the thick fog would burn off by the afternoon, but they were wrong. By afternoon, people were vanishing. By evening, they were found in the graveyard, massacred without warning, without reason. Perhaps most importantly, the townfolk couldn't even tell how they were dying. Maggie was the first to get bored with being quarantined in town hall with everyone else. She managed to slip out without anyone apart from me noticing and made her way home. The longer she walked, the more watchful and frightened she became. Eerie groans and the occasional shriek came from the mist, and every so often invisible fingers seemed to graze her cheek or pull at her hair, though they left me alone as I followed. Well before she was halfway home, Maggie was running at full speed and hurtling over fences, hedges, and anything else that had been left out on the lawns she was cutting across. I tried to call to her, to tell my love that she was safe, but she couldn't hear me over the building wind I was starting to despise. It just wouldn't seem to stop, no matter where I went. It was just outside the graveyard that I caught up to her. I tried to grab her wrist to stop her, and she screamed hysterically. She didn't try to run. She just sank to the ground and stayed there as I wrapped my useless arms around her and let her cry until she eventually calmed down. When she did, she looked up at me amazed. "Davis?" I nodded and waited for her to speak again. "Davis, how are you here?" It didn't escape my notice that she said how, not why or anything else. I answered honestly, "I don't know. The ship went down a few miles off and it was so hard to swim. I just couldn't do it. Most of the others didn't make it either." She nodded sadly and tried to brush my cheek lightly with her fingers. "I know. We had a service for everyone who was on the boat." I nodded. The conversation didn't go much further. The shrieks and groans in the mist got louder and louder until the only thing left for us to do was make sure that Maggie's ears were covered. The noises from the fog suddenly died, leaving us gazing around and wondering what was going to happen next. "Hi, guys," came a voice from behind. The two of us leapt to our feet and faced Malcolm, a close friend, and the captain of the fishing boat I had died on, and the only sailor whose body had been found. I should have known it was him. He'd always been known for the dramatic. Because of this, I was even more cautious. "Malcolm, what are you doing?" "I had to. I need something and they wouldn't let me get it. I needed help." "You're scaring them to death. Literally." "I know. I honestly didn't mean to. They just couldn't deal with seeing me. They're not like Maggie here." Malcolm grinned widely. "Hey, Mags." She waved weakly. It seemed one ghost was enough. Two had pushed her to her limits. "Come on," Malcolm urged me. "I need your help." I hesitated to leave Maggie, but it was best that she not come with us. She went straight home and curled up on her couch while she waited for me. Meanwhile, I entered the graveyard behind Malcolm, who was jogging toward his gravestone and ignoring all of my questions. Finally, I'd had enough and stopped in my tracks. "Mal, enough! What is going on? I'm not moving until you tell me something. We're here anyway." He reached his misty arm through the ground with a look of intense concentration, then pulled it out again. I needed this. "Needed what?" I nearly yelled at him, exasperated. He held out his hand, and I took the small rectangle of paper he had pulled out of his own grave. Everything made perfect sense the second I saw what it was. "Malcolm, you could just look in on her from time to time, you know." "That's just creepy. I'm not going to haunt my girl. It's hard, you know. I saved her out there," he explained, gesturing toward the ocean. "And now I can't be with her. I just wanted something to remember her by. Didn't mean to hurt anyone doing it." I nodded and returned to the picture. With nothing left to do in the graveyard, we turned and walked slowly toward the docks. We leaned against the railing as I tried to console him. "You know, She's a dolphin. I'm sure she'll be fine without you.